welcome to Vacation Station, hosted by Lisa and Nancy, editors of BigBlendMagazines.com.
Hey everybody, welcome to Big Blend Radio's second Friday food, wine, and travel show with the International Food, Wine, Travel Writers Association. We do this, every second Friday with travel writers, and we get to find out where they have been, their latest destinations and adventures. And we're very excited to welcome back travel writer Elsa Dixon to talk about her epic sail on the MSC Sinfonia from Venice to Cape Town, and her story about this adventure. See, she's not just one destination. This is the true journey. A 30-day journey cruising to all these sites. It's amazing. Her story is up on Blend Radio and TV.com. You can see it there, and you'll also see it in the upcoming issue of Vacation Station Travel Magazine. But I encourage you to go to her website, travelswithelsa.com, to keep up with her. So welcome back, Elsa. How are you?
I'm very well. Thank you so much.
It's good to have you. The last time you were on the show, we were talking about your book, Hippos, Hotspots, and Homelands, and you got to go back home, really, since
That's
then,
right?
Well, you did a few times, actually, over the last couple of years.
Yes, I have, actually, because I've taken two tours, tour groups up to South Africa and then Tanzania, and then Zanzibar as well. So, yes, I've been back to Africa a few times. This time was very short because it was just before Christmas when we landed in Cape Town. And so I just spent 2 days there, but made the most of those 2 days and then flew to Canada to be with my family for Christmas.
Oh, very nice. And the thing is, Cape Town, I love that city. It's still like one of my favorites. How was it going back to Cape Town? How is my favorite city? I know South Africa's been going through some rough times lately,
yes,
but I always have hope that it'll pull through.
Oh, yes, the Cape Town is absolutely beautiful. And actually, I just had a newsletter from somebody that 3 of Cape Town's cities have been chosen, Hermanus, Stellenbosch, and Cape Town, as the most, one of 50 of the world's most popular cities to visit. So it's still up there.
And Hermanus, I remember Hermanus, I'm talking over 30 years ago, being really small. It was like a dorpy.
You won't recognize it. It is now a city.
Oh, what?
But the coast is still beautiful, and they're still whale watching, and it's still great fun to go there. Yes.
You said that on this cruise, when you got to Cape Town, you did get to see the fynbos, and I want people to understand the fynbos. There's nothing like it. I know New Zealand and Australia may have a kind of fynbos, in Hawaii. Yeah. But I'm just saying.
Yeah, fynbos is unique, actually, endemic to South Africa. It's also on Table Mountain and in the botanical gardens, Kirstenbosch. And then we took a train trip, which I never knew about, actually, although, I've been there so many times. But there's a train that goes from the Herengracht area. It's the Elgin train. Actually, it's called the Ceres Rail, and it takes you to Elgin, and there's a huge market there, near the platform, and it's a steam train. So it's like the old days, and it's really nostalgic. And you have beautiful views of the mountain. You go through the Toyskloof, and you see the ocean in the distance, and then the fynbos surrounds you. So. It was really great fun. And then,
so it's kind of part of the garden route then?
Not quite really. Not really.
Okay.
It goes inland through the more fruit farms and so on, although you do see the Gordons Bay coast. But the garden route will be more along the coast. This is more going inland. But it's
that's why Ceres. I remember Ceres fruit. And Ceres fruit drinks.
That's
when
right.
I was a kid. Is that still there?
Yeah.
We still get
Ceres? They still have. They have new names for so many things now. I didn't recognize the carton of milk because it's also called something like no or something.
What? I have no idea. Yeah, it's been over 30 years since we've been home, and it's like when you think Ceres, I remember those little fruit, jugs of juice, and we'd get pear juice. And then I had pear juice in a different country. I'm like, that's not pear juice. South Africa's fruit is pristine.
It's amazing. And the dried fruit and even the fruit, the gumdrops that you get, fruit drops, they are really tasty, you know. So no, I always advocate for South African produce.
Oh yeah, I love that. And the gumdrops. Oh yes. And the wine gums. Oh, don't start me.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And the wine lands, there's so many routes now going, you know, in all directions. I think there are 9 official wine routes. And it also takes you up into the Hermanus area. You know, there's a whole lot of new wineries out there. So you can spend a few weeks in the winelands.
See, well, South Africa is just beautiful, but you really went all over, like you were saying, all these different countries on this 30-day cruise. So tell us about getting, like, you get on this cruise ship.
Yes.
And what were your quarters like to stay in there? Because I know you traveled with your friend Karen. What was it like to be comfy? And did you stay in hotels off the boat, or did you always get back on the ship?
Yes, we always got back on the ship. We had a nice stateroom with 2 single beds and lots of space for hanging our clothes and packing away things, and a balcony. We made sure we had an ocean view, just so that you have that feeling of not being, you know, locked inside somewhere. And well, if you're 2 people, you have to compromise in some ways, but we had a natural routine. You know, she would get up earlier than me and go and do a yoga and what have you, and then I would get up. And so we didn't, you know, we met for lunch sometimes, and we might do some things together. We played a lot of cards together, waiting for shows to start, and we had dinner together. So we had a good, you have to balance it out. And the ship was so nice, and the meals were really excellent. And the shows, I mean, we had like 30 shows, 28 shows on the 30-day cruise. And they were really top-notch artists. I'm a music teacher as well, so I've got a pretty good ear, you know. And we had opera singers that came on board somewhere along the line in Europe, and then they would get off at another port, and then new ones would get on again, you know. So we had 3 South African tenors as well, the 3 black tenors, and that was an experience, because the poor guys had to sing in the clothes they were traveling in because their case got lost somewhere. And then somewhere.
Here I am in my travel clothes. That's kind of how Nancy and I, as we travel, it's like, I just give up now. It's like, here it is. You know what?
Yeah. But what appealed to me about the cruise was that there were places on my bucket list that I thought I would never get to, you know, like, or I would have to wait.
Saudi Arabia.
Years. Well, Saudi Arabia was not even on my bucket list, but that was difficult to get the visa. The officials came on board, and we did not know if we would even get a visa, because online it was impossible. And people who got visas in advance had to actually redo it there and pay again. So I wouldn't recommend even trying to get a visa in advance. And they were very strict, you know, and they locked.
Apparently, they took the wine out of your room. No wine in your room when you got.
Yes, it was.
There'll be no drinking.
No drinking, and in the bars, you only saw fruit juices on the shelves, which was really ridiculous.
See, we're back to serious fruit juice.
Yes, the bartenders would joke and say, "You want some orange wine, or do you want some?" Clementine wine or what? So it was quite funny. Yeah, but anyway, that was an experience. I'm very glad we did pay the money eventually. 10 minutes while we were standing there, okay, you can also now get a visa. So we got our visas, and they took our fingerprints, they took photographs, and we went to through customs. The bus took us there and was escorted. And we went to the old town, and what was really interesting was to see the balconies that are like boxed in with shutters, so that the women could look through the balconies, but people couldn't see the women. And so it was really an eye-opener. The men would be buying the vegetables at the vegetable cart, and I think we saw 2 women in that part of town. and they were accompanied by a man, because in some areas they're still not allowed to walk about by themselves. And there was one area where, where there was a shop with some ladies sitting there by themselves and some children. Yeah, but it was interesting to see the old town. Yeah.
It's very difficult when you travel. We have to kind of remember you are in somebody else's country and their customs. So yes, don't drink wine in a country that doesn't drink wine, right? I know we're food, wine, travel writers, but you have to, it's like going into someone's house,
Yes. It was quite a contrast. Yeah, it was quite a contrast, because our next stop was the Seychelles. And there they had the music going, and everybody dancing on the
cocktails, fruit drinks, rum,
the drums going, and the ladies dancing, swirling there with their colorful skirts, and so lovely light atmosphere immediately. So, and that was, of course, in Mauritius as well, and that was fantastic. To see the different cultures. Now, where we started off in Venice, that was also on my bucket list, because I've been to Italy, but not Venice. So that was amazing. But now the cruise ships are not allowed to leave from the city itself. It must be outside the city. So if you are connecting to a ship in Venice, allow a lot of time, because we still had to have a COVID test. And that was also quite an experience, because it was on St. Mark's Square, and we had to go into this old building with the marble statues, and it was also classical, and I thought, the last time I had a COVID test was in Tanzania or Zanzibar, and the chickens were running around us while we were waiting to go into this outbuilding. It was just such a contrast. That's what's interesting about traveling.
Yeah, but that is the beauty of it, right? Is that you have these different, it's like, well, this wasn't the way it was the last place, and it just, I think it's such a good thing. And when you do these kind of, like I said, this wasn't just a destination you're going to, normally travel writers coming on are telling me, I went here, I went there. But this, when you have, this is a journey with all these different flavors, right?
That's
so
right.
Your food with the ship, when you were eating on the ship, did they change the food according to where you were, or was it just like according to what the ship wanted to do?
In some instances they did, some cases, some places, but not, you can't really compare it to what like Viking does, they have the cuisine of the city where you are. But we had quite a good variety, of different foods. But the beauty of going off, onto land and visiting, the place, like in Mauritius and in Seychelles and Reunion, we actually had the chance to experience Creole food, and that culture, which was quite different to what we had in Venice. And then also in you can have a lunch on the shore, and then you can actually get the flavor of the different types of food. We had a wonderful experience in Reunion, where we actually was part of a large group of international tourists, not from the ship, but they demonstrated Jackie was his name, Farfar cuisine or something like that, and he demonstrated the Creole cooking, and we were told how to make the samosas and roll them and what have you. So we had great fun. And so that was a real unusual ingredients too. In the Seychelles and in Mauritius, they put coconut shreds that they bake. They put them on ice cream, so it's unusual sort of, and croutons with curry. I've never had that before.
So I haven't had that, yeah. But I mean, a samosa, I would do anything for a good samosa right now. You hit my soft spot right there. You put a good samosa, cook sister. I just heard there's like friends of mine in South Africa, it looks like there's a liqueur now, Cook Sisters liqueur.
Oh my gosh, no, I haven't heard
I'm like, that's got to be sweet for Christmas. They were doing it at Christmas, and I thought that's got to, and everyone who's never had a Cook Sister, how do you explain this beautiful twisted pastry that's twisted like a braid, right?
Yeah,
or
yeah,
plait if you're
absolutely.
in South Africa, a plait or a braid.
Syrupy
And
and hot oil and syrup.
syrupy and just everything you're not supposed to have is in
But
this
you talk
piece of
about
goodness.
unusual things. Rooibos tea.
Oh,
During the season here in Charleston, South Carolina, they were selling pumpkin flavored rooibos tea. And I only heard about this when I was already on the cruise, so I never had a chance to buy any. I would like to.
I want it. Yeah, I mean, why not? Rooibos tea is so good for you. I mean, that's a
Yeah.
South African delicacy
Yeah.
and an antioxidant. So if you have too much wine, drink more rooibos.
We
That's how I say.
had that on the ship. The rooibos was on the ship too, which was
awesome.
actually there were about 200 South Africans on the cruise ship because it goes around that African coast. So it seemed to be a popular route for South Africans. But we had about half the ship full, so it was very nice. Yeah.
Let's talk about Greece, because this is something that I know is on many people's bucket list. I mean, you went to some iconic places and here's the thing, you didn't have to drive.
Yeah. We only had the one day in Greece, and we had our hearts set on taking the train to this to Olympiad, where the original Olympic Games were held by the ancient Greeks, and that was long before Christ was born. And but then the local people advised us against taking the train because they said it wasn't reliable coming back, and we only had one day in Greece, so we were not going to miss the ship. So
you don't want to do that.
No, so we took an official bus tour there, and that was really great. Yes, and it's just so incredible to know that this was where it started. And I subsequently learned that that one area where the games were actually held, that is where they light the Olympic flame, and it's from that point that it gets carried throughout, when they run with the flame.
Yes.
Start.
And
yes.
I think it's so epic that you went there. When you think about Coubertin, he wrote, the Olympics have gone up and down in history, right? And Coubertin went in and said, hey, this is about universal peace. That's what the games are about. No matter what's going on, we have to have this. And so he went around and around. And that flame is something really epic. And I think as a travel writer, and also knowing about what peace is not, having lived in South Africa and been from South Africa and understanding the ups and downs of all of that drama, standing in a place where this was supposed to be universal peace that long ago. Think about that. How did that affect you as someone who travels and has the open eyes and experiences things that maybe we want to question, like women not being able to be free to run around in Saudi Arabia? May be hard for our culture, but
one has such different emotions. I think after I came back from the cruise, I actually experienced more emotion, because in the moment you are sort of so overwhelmed by it all, and then when you start thinking about everything, you just realize what an incredible opportunity you had. And I'm just thinking now that you said that about peace, and then we got to Egypt, and there was a tourism police just about on every corner. I couldn't believe it. And the bus had to, when we went by bus to the Valley of the Kings, the bus was actually had to stop at all these roadblocks where the police were. And it's not that they even got on the bus or anything. They maybe just had to sign that they stopped there or something. But they obviously take tourism very seriously and the safety of the tourists. So it was interesting to see how each country operates differently. But everywhere we were made to feel very welcome, even Saudi Arabia, the people were really very friendly. And the people at customs, although they had the masks on and they were, took everything very seriously, they were still polite, and very, very nice. And we could in fact go on board on land. Yeah. So, it was interesting to see how each country responds to visitors.
Yeah, I think people want that. I mean, tourism is a very good moneymaker for, it's really important. And it's important for us to go in these places and we can have our opinions, go there. You're going to still get an opinion no matter what we do.
Yeah.
But what do you do with that? That's why I always go, like, when you start having these experiences, no matter what realm the emotion is, really positive, exciting, joyous,
Yeah. And
there's
very
that part of you that wants to
educational.
do something with it, right?
Yeah.
There's that you want to do something.
Yes, and that was what I found so interesting about the islands, in the Indian Ocean, that they all had such similar backgrounds, similar histories of colonialism, slavery, and then the Indian indentures, that program where they were indentured. And then the sugar cane, and then a lot of that again agrees with what happened on these islands here, near us, where they had the sugar cane and the same
Right.
same stories, So that I found really very interesting.
Well, it's Mauritius, right? Was always like the summer getaway for South Africans. I remember, like,
Yeah,
oh,
and
we're going,
potatoes.
we're going to Mauritius, and
Oh yes,
the
oh,
Seychelles was a big thing.
yes, there's a big difference between being a day visitor in Seychelles or Mauritius. Like we took a taxi to get to a beach, but then it was obviously a public beach and for everybody, and not necessarily a glamorous tourist beach, although it offered the same sort of things. But I think if you want the real Mauritius honeymoon, Seychelles, luxury, or even not luxury, but just staying there for a few days, then you will obviously have a more of that beach experience,
Mm.
Yeah. So, but we had
There's
fun.
so much.
Right. Yeah.
Now, when you're on these cruise ships, do you ever look out hoping to see whales and dolphins, or are you too far out to see that? Or
Yeah. Once somebody started getting excited, he thought he saw something like a whale or something, but I don't, I don't think it was that.
oh,
But,
it's
yeah,
like, have
it's not
another
really.
cocktail, it'll be all right.
It might have been after we crossed the equator.
The other thing I wanted to touch on, though, you said, you listen to the locals about, in Greece, not taking the train to where the original Olympic site was, and you listen to them. And so that means you're already talking with the locals, and you were dead set to go. And so then you went with a bus company. So I think that's a very important thing to bring back up as a conversation for folks traveling, is to listen to the locals. They know, because they know, is it Uncle Joe riding the bus today? Maybe you don't want to take it. So to connect with the locals and hear what to do. And sometimes those kind of group tours or tour guides, they give you more insight than what you
can
when
do
by the
yourself.
time you get there, you have a better idea of what you want to see and what to appreciate.
And especially if you are pressed for time, if you have like one day somewhere, then, it would be advisable to take the bus excursion. And you definitely learn a lot from the tour guides, and it's also if you're on a ship like that, you feel rather go with an official ship tour, that you are sure that you're going to get back to the ship on time, because the ship will actually wait for you if you're on an official tour. But if you arrange your own tour, then it's your problem. The ship will go and they will keep track of you, but they can't guarantee that they are going to wait for the late passengers.
Exactly. I mean, it is, we almost missed our ship when we went to the Bahamas the one time, Nancy and I, when we got over to this country, and it was our first vacation, and we had a really good time in the Bahamas. I'm just saying, we got off the ship, and they gave us Bahamas mamas, and they played music, and I don't know, something happened, and then we went, uh-oh. And we literally were running for the ship. And people are looking at us like, you stupid idiots. And we're like, we're world travelers, but yeah, we're dumb, because they really, we didn't mean to, but we got lost. We ended up on we got carried away, but we're also went on some little bus not a bus. It was like a little taxi thing, and ended up in the bush somewhere. All I can say, there was a rainstorm, and we thought the whole
Sounds
thing was fun.
exciting.
It was fun. It was. We
Well,
ended
you
up in a
never
little.
forget that tour.
Well, we ended up in a little shack, and it wasn't like we went off the beaten path.
Yeah.
And they're like, here, try this kind of Bahama Mama. And then they told us, and there was a rainstorm that came through. I mean, not only for a little bit,
Well, there's a lot to be said for that type of experience.
Yeah,
well.
and they told us to shake our heads up and down after we take a sip, and we kept doing it. And then we were a little wonky, but we had a blast, and we experienced the music and the culture, and we did touristy stuff too, but it was just fun to be silly for a day, but then to almost miss your ship, that's not funny.
Yeah, well,
especially if you're in Saudi Arabia, that's not funny.
Yeah, I wouldn't like to be, to have missed anything there, I must admit.
Or Egypt, but I'm not knocking those places at all. I think it's amazing that you had that opportunity to go there. And a lot of people kind of poo-poo, well, if you're going to go to Egypt, you need to spend X amount of days. And I agree, we want the best to do that. But, there's something to be said to be able to experience what you can that's in your ability to do at that time.
Yes,
and you shouldn't not take that opportunity.
Absolutely.
And you were talking about that as soon as you saw this trip, you're like, oh, I'm going.
I'm in. Well, I really appreciated Scott for giving me the opportunity to have the press trips in Mauritius, Seychelles, and Reunion, and then also the train trip in Cape Town, because we were really given the inside scoop, on at Seychelles and Mauritius, and then that wonderful demonstration lunch and experiencing the local culture, and also meeting other international tourists. And that's the other interesting thing. When we were there were people from Belgium and Flanders, and we spoke Afrikaans to each other.
No way, that's so cool.
They spoke their Flemish and Belgian sort of, and that is a type of Dutch, So I could speak Afrikaans and they could speak their language, and we sort of met somewhere in the middle, and we could communicate like that.
With lots of laughing.
Oh, yeah, that too. And what was so interesting also, the islands, of course, like any country would, they make use of their emblems, like Seychelles as well is known for, first of all, the coco de mer, those weird shaped coconuts.
Right.
You can use your imagination what it looks like if you see the photograph.
It's a Georgia O'Keeffe painting.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, you're right. And then also the Seychelles tortoise. So you get the beer glass with the tortoise on, and what is Mauritius is the extinct dodo, of course. So you get dodo beer. And so that's always, fun to see also how they promote their countries with these catchy things.
I know, that's funny. That is funny. So, Elsa, that you bring up Scott Kendall and his side, Play, Stay, Eat, Play, Eat,
That's
Stay.
Right. Play, Stay, Eat. Yes.
Play, Stay, Eat. And he'll be on our show soon, everyone, talking about Big Bend National Park. And I think that's something really cool about the International Food, Wine, Travel Writers Association is that you make all these connections, like we get to chat with you, and all these writers and destinations. And we do a show with if we say IFTWA, everyone's very easy. So ifwtwa.org is the website for travel writers, photographers, authors, food, wine, travel writers, and then the destinations and tour companies as well. And so we do a show every second Friday, every second Tuesday with the destinations. Second Fridays, like you, with the travel writers, and then we have a panel now, a new travel panel show with travel writers every third Friday, because you all are real busy. The pandemic's over and everybody's out and running and doing all kinds of things. But every time we do these conversations, it comes back home to how it has really become this community of travel writers. When you think back to the original travel writing days, it was always some guy that was gruff in his jacket and, drinking a gin and tonic in the colonial bar. That was the look, right? It wasn't that was it. But now I see more women.
More personal and people go for the ethnic experience. They want the behind the scenes, sort of the genuine a meeting of the local people and the local cultures, and that's what fascinates me too. So yeah, and I love writing for Scott because he presents the article so beautifully,
Yes.
So that really appeals to me.
I love it. I love that you guys all connect too. And it does, when you go on these trips, do you, as travel writers in the association in IFTWA, communicate, hey, do you have any tips? I'm going to this country, I'm going to the Seychelles, should I watch out for weird shells?
Yeah, there is communication on different platforms, and there are different associations that you belong to besides IFTWA as well, so then you connect in that way also. And sometimes, somebody might invite you along on one of their press trips, which is also neat. Yeah, so one experiences a lot. I'm looking forward to my next cruise also, and this is a free one because I'm being compensated for that time that I nearly went down. I can't say with the Titanic, but it was with the ship of the Viking ship off the Norwegian coast.
Oh boy, I know you had some crazy travels,
Yeah,
this
that
last
would be
couple
my
of years.
third book, all the crazy travel adventures. So anyway, we're going to the Bay of Bengal, so there's another thing coming up.
Oh, exciting! That's exciting.
Yeah.
But you've got to kind of those things. Nancy always wanted to write a book or a memoir called "What Could Go Wrong." Absolutely everything, right? So, and when you travel, these hiccups happen. So you've got to know, you've got, as angry as you can get and frustrated, you can cry. You might as well just laugh.
Make the most of it. When we landed in Portugal, we were delayed like 7 hours. So what did we do at the airport? We tried all the things that they offered Portuguese type of dishes and their wine, and we sat on the throne. That's like we were sardine queens, and so we just made the most of the day. And then we got to Venice in the rain, and we had no idea where we were, where our hotel was. We just knew it was near the Venice Theatre or something. And we walked onto St. Mark's Square, and some guy, there was nobody there. Only one guy came up to us, and he looked presentable enough that we could ask him if he could help us. And he put us put the directions in our cell phone, and we were doing quite well. But as soon as we turned all those little corners, the thing went haywire and started sending us in all directions. And then we sort of used our instinct, and we were dragging ourselves in the rain with our wet cases. We got to the hotel. We looked like two drenched rats when we got there. And anyway, so all's well that ends well. We were very happy with our accommodation.
That's when it's so weird because you get rained on, and then the first thing you want to do is take a hot shower after the rain. Isn't it weird? You want to take a hot shower, and you want a toddy or a glass of wine at that point. Thank you. That's why it's Food, Wine, and Travel Writers Association.
That's right. Yeah, we certainly had the food, we had the wine,
the adventures.
The adventures, yeah.
Oh, Elsa, it has been such a joy to have you back on the show. Everyone, again, Elsa's story, Epic Sail on the MSC Sinfonia from Venice to Cape Town, is up on blendradioandtv.com. Just type in Elsa, you'll find out see her other interview as well about her book and her memoir. And also keep up with Elsa. Go to her website. It is travelswithelsa.com. She's on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all under the same name. You can also connect with her on LinkedIn and Pinterest. And of course, keep up with us at bigblendradio.com. We air every day here on Big Blend Radio and also on YouTube at Big Blend Radio. And of course, keep up with our brand new show on Spotify, exclusively on Spotify. And that is it is the Big Daily Blend. And that gives you a little bit of history and travel updates. And Elsa's on there today. And all kinds of good stuff and a lot of music. So thank you so much, Elsa, and everyone at IFTWA. Thank you for always connecting us with awesome travel writers and destination. That website is ifwtwa.org. Thank you so much, Elsa.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Tot ziens.